Good afternoon, PBA community. My name is Adam Pena, and I am the major with Campus Safety and Security, and I work directly for Anne-Marie Taylor, who is our Chief of Campus Safety and Security. One of the things I want to talk about today is what we're doing with regards to student and faculty safety in the classroom. We've been working diligently to set up the classrooms, keeping in mind the 6-foot social distancing, proper signage, proper instructions so that students know exactly where they need to sit, what they need to do prior to coming into the classroom, and at different intervals when they leave or where they take a break, exactly what they need to know to keep themselves safe and keep those around them safe as well during this unfortunate time. What we're doing in this classroom in particular, this is at Borbay 206. We've got a specific number of students that we are anticipating attending classes in the coming weeks. And what we've done is we've come into the classroom, we've measured out a 6-foot distancing, and we've set signage up. And one of the signs that we're utilizing that you will see, and you will see this throughout campus, on the seating, it says skip this seat. So with this sign, obviously the sign says it all. If you see this sign and you see it on a seat, you can't sit there. Obviously the seat that's next to it that doesn't have the sign, that's where you can have a seat. The other thing you're going to find when you walk into the classroom, as soon as you walk into the door, there should be a station. In fact, we're going to make sure there's one that says hand sanitizing station. So that's where you'll be able to go as soon as you walk into the classroom. You can squeeze that sanitizer, get a little spritz, sanitize your hands, and then have your seat. So when you leave the room, and say you need to take a restroom break, when you go into the restroom, utilize the facility, make sure you wash your hands, obviously, before you come back out, before you enter the room. Every time, no matter what your plans are, if you're leaving to receive a phone call or for various other reasons, make sure that before you come back into the classroom that you pay those facilities a visit, wash your hands, and then return back to class. And that's coming and going every time throughout the course of your classroom time here. So again, you will see these signs that say hand sanitizer, and obviously at the very top of every sign that you'll see, sailfish safe. Okay, that is our motto, and that's what we're hoping to accomplish here. We want to keep everybody safe. Okay, so you already are aware of this skip the seat. You will see that throughout campus. Now, when you walk up to the classroom doors, first thing you're going to see signs like this. There may be an extra sign that we may add. However, these signs you will see, remember to wear your mask, wash your hands frequently, and avoid touching your face. Now, one thing I want to clarify now, before we go any further, is you must wear your mask when you're in class. That's been mandated. You have to wear your mask when you're in here, so you will see that. Prior to coming in here, this basically states the way it states is face coverings are required to ensure the health and safety of all. So you have to wear your masks when you're in class. So that's all I have for today. If there are any questions, if there are any concerns, obviously there's going to be concerns. This is a different time for all of us. And if there's any need for further clarification, do not hesitate to contact our office, Campus Safety and Security, and we'll be glad to assist you in any way possible. Thank you.
Hello, fine colleagues and friends. My name is Stephanie Bennett. I am Fellow for Student Engagement here at PBA and Professor of Communication and Media Ecology. And I've been asked to spend a few minutes speaking with you about engaging students online. This year, we've been tasked with teaching our students in ways that are new and in some cases, quite foreign to most of us, conducting our courses online. The challenges involved in this sudden shift from the classroom to the online environment are numerous. And although we helped our students finish strong during the initial weeks of the global pandemic, it was not easy. So, in preparation for the coming academic year, there are several things to consider as we get ready to teach our classes, whether they're online or in traditional face-to-face or in some hybrid fashion. In this short message, I'm planning to share 3 of those considerations with you. The first one, you already know. We need to pay closer attention to the nonverbal cues we use. You may already know this as well, but the research that's been done in nonverbal communication suggests that up to 93% of our daily communication is nonverbal. Now, this means for many of us that we need to stretch. Yes, more stretching. But what exactly does it mean for you and me? Let's get a little granular here. Well, it might mean for some of us that we need to become a little bit more animated than is perhaps our norm. Or at the very least, just being attentive to using our facial gestures, our expressiveness, our bodily movement. Facial expressiveness is part of the nonverbal category we know as kinesics, but there are other categories of nonverbal communication. Cues that help us engage with our students. For instance, think about paralanguage. Paralanguage involves the tone, it involves the volume, it involves the pitch of our voices. You know, if you have a very low kind of tone and pitch to your voice, you may want to work at incorporating more expressiveness and changing up that pitch. Same thing if you have that very high pitch. You know, if you have a high pitched voice, right? If you have that, it's important to modulate it and create what we call vocal variety so that students just don't, I say students, but really we all do this, don't we? We tune each other out if there is something that is just too much the same. So if you have a high-pitched voice or a low-pitched voice, use vocal variety. Another example is the volume. If you are soft-spoken, you may want to raise the volume, dial it up a little bit. If you normally project and speak loudly, try incorporating a little bit of a whisper once in a while. You know, if you whisper and you say to them, listen, listen. For 2 seconds or 3 seconds, you could hear a pin drop in the room. Well, this works just as well in online situations. And it's the kind of thing that we need even more in online teaching, so that the student feels and is engaged and feels more connected to you as their professor. Another nonverbal category is silence. Yes, silence. For example, if you are talking about Socrates and the unexamined life, you might ask them, what is the unexamined life? Think about it. What is it? Are you thinking? There you go. I just used silence. Sometimes that pause, 1 beat, 2 beats, or 3 beats, is what is needed to make your point and to keep those students engaged. Okay, enough about nonverbal communication. I teach a whole course in it, and this isn't going to be 16 weeks. Very brief. Number 2. Incorporate variety. We each tend to use the online tools that we're most comfortable with, but even when they're used well, we must find ways to break out of our comfort zones and use other tools. For example, if you've just gotten used, got the hang of Zoom and you find success in using it, excellent. But every class is not a Zoom class, and there is such a thing as Zoom fatigue, which you've probably found out about. It's up there, that Zoom fatigue, right next to its cousin, screen fatigue. And it's up to us to be leaders in the classroom who try out these new tools and try them out with enthusiasm and tenacity. Let's not be afraid to fail. No one wants to. I don't like to make a mistake either, but if something that you've planned doesn't work, have a backup plan. You already have a backup plan, right? So use the backup plan and learn from it. The third point I'd like to make really involves something we're all, again, all of these things are things that we're comfortable with and we already do in our traditional classrooms. The third is attendance. We need to pay close attention to attendance, in online courses especially. It's so easy to get lost in an online course, especially for undergrads. If a student turns off the video function in a Zoom meeting, for instance, and substitutes their live video for a static image of themselves, it's much too easy for them just to fade out into the twilight zone. So how might we address this situation online? Well, there are ways to build into or build attendance into the design of our courses. We can do that through group work, we can do that through discussion specifications and assignments. Stretching out into the world of online teaching is a lot of work. It's a lot of new work, but it is also an opportunity that can be quite exciting. We can use wisdom and the knowledge that we have to make our courses wonderful experiences of growth and creativity, not just for our students, but for ourselves as well. So as we close, please allow me to make just one more short point, one that has an overarching effect on our pedagogy. There's one attitude that must be present in our classrooms, whether they are fully online, again, fully face-to-face, or some mix of both, and that is our mentality. What I mean by this is that we need to shift our thinking when we're teaching online. Just really shift it. Teaching online is much more than just a shift in design or a shift in delivery system. Online teaching is much more successful and fulfilling if we think about the process as teaching the student, not teaching the course. Now, we will obviously continue to be immersed in our material, the content of our courses, and very, very interested in helping our students meet their benchmarks, certain benchmarks associated with the courses that we teach. But if we don't keep in mind that we are teaching people, we're teaching students, we are apt to fall into the pedagogical problem of thinking teaching is all about just delivering content. And you and I know it's not. I left this for last because it's so important to remember. Let's keep in mind the goals that we share, the wider goals that we share. Those that include not just the intellectual formation of our students, but the spiritual formation, the emotional well-being, and their physical health. We've got a great year ahead of us, my friends. We've got students who are eager to return to class and a campus that bustles with faith and promise. We're in this together. We truly are. Let's go with God, with love, with grace, and let's go with encouragement.
Hi, Sailfish. Welcome back to Fall 2020. I'm gonna take my mask off because I promise I'm more than 6 feet away from my film crew today. But I wanted to share with you a little bit about what the classroom experience will be like as you and our students return this fall. So immediately as students come into your classroom, we're gonna ask that they use the hand sanitizer, which will be provided. It may actually be a much larger bottle than this, but hopefully by asking them to come in the door and do the hand sanitizer, they are sanitizing now kind of what they touch, if they touch anything else. So I think that will be helpful. We are asking that everyone leave their mask on. Faculty can move to where they are going to teach. When you are where you're going to teach, and we're going to have a table in front of you, right, to make sure we keep that 6-foot barrier, then you can take the mask off. That's for a couple of reasons. One is that we do have students who might have some type of hearing impairment and really need to see your lips to understand what you're saying. And two, I don't know about you, I just cannot hear folks as clearly when they have the mask on. So as long as you're behind the podium presenting, you can take the mask off and talk. If for some reason, let's say you're going to pass out papers or students are going to do small group work, right? Then as you step out, we need to put the mask back up appropriately, put the mask back on, making sure it covers our nose and our mouth as well. And we know that is to keep all of our sailfish safe. We do not expect any faculty to do any type of cleaning. Our national crew is going to come in every night and really deep clean all of the surfaces. They can provide gloves to you if that's something that you need. Let's say that you're doing some type of science lab or some other type of lab, maybe in the technology area, right, where they're going to touch things that other people have touched all day long. So check with Teresa Jacobs or Safety and Security for your gloves. As well, we have told students, we've sent them an email and told them if they don't have a mask, that we'll have one for them. So it probably will be the normal, like, medical type mask. But so far what we've done is put that in envelopes and bring that on the first night of class and make sure that the student has that mask. So we definitely have that there for them as well. I think one thing about teaching that's going to be a little bit different is that we are going to set up every classroom for optimal teaching and learning. So that's going to be done by a team of educators as well as technology and facilities folks. We are going to set that up for you and then hopefully be able to provide you a template seating chart, as it were. So all the tables and chairs will kind of need to stay where they are, because in most of the areas we're going to try and get folks 6 feet apart for safety purposes. So we will provide a seating chart. First night of class, ask folks to sit where they want, and then really we need to write their names in, or you can kind of pass it around, right, if you want, and ask folks to write their name in where they're sitting. That's going to really help us with contact tracing. Should someone come down and be sick, we can tell who was in the area right around them, and then that will help you as well, hopefully. We are here to answer your questions. We're going to talk in a little bit about the technology in the room. It's going to be a little bit different teaching with technology this year. If you don't have anybody in your class who's remote learning in, then you can continue to teach as you always have. Once you have that first person who's remoting in, really what's going to happen is you're going to teach via Zoom. So you're going to use, hopefully you have a laptop, you're welcome to use that. We'll actually get in a classroom in just a few minutes and show you how to use the technology there. But really the teaching session itself is going to be through Zoom. That way, whether you are using the whiteboard in Zoom or you are showing a PowerPoint or a YouTube video, all that's going to be done through Zoom. And so the folks that are learning remotely and the folks that are learning in person, yes, they're actually going to see the Zoom session on the screen behind you. But once you share a screen, right, that PowerPoint or YouTube video gets really big. So it's a little bit different. It's not going to be teaching the same way we have done for quite a while, but it is going to be teaching and learning safely. And that's what's really important, because we want to keep our sailfish safe. Welcome back, sailfish. We are in a classroom here at PBA, as you can tell, and I want to talk to you a little bit about classroom preparation. So I'm going to go ahead and take my mask off because I have come into my classroom, and I'm going to get behind our podium so that we can teach. So I do have some information and materials up here that I want to share with our students. The interesting thing about coming into the classroom, we did receive information from Dr. Richards that faculty are able to, once they're behind the podium, remove the mask as long as you stay here. You might even notice right in front of me is a seat that literally has a sign that says skip this seat. So we've done all we can to make sure that we maintain that 6 foot of physical distancing between us and our students. And so we do, if I do step out and I'm going to go work with small groups, or I'm going to answer a student question individually, I will need to have my mask, and I will need to put that back on as I step out back away from the podium. And that just is for everyone's safety so that we continue to stay safe here at PBA. So the interesting thing about teaching when you come back is that we all have to be prepared to teach students remotely. So we will need to teach through Zoom. So I don't know if you can see what is behind me right there, but we actually have a Zoom session going. So I have a laptop, I've got a webcam on the laptop, I have started my Zoom session, and so my students in front of me can see, like, they probably really don't care what's on the big screen because at this point I'm just talking, but on Zoom and in the Zoom session, the presenter would be there and would be sharing the information. So that is important. And then as we have other information to share, I think I've got a template of a PowerPoint up here so I could share that. So it looks a little bit different, right, from the faculty perspective. But what we see, we are actually in the Zoom session. I could go ahead and do the regular one. Thanks to Dr. Hayes for letting me borrow his PowerPoint here. So it's going to be just like it would be if you were doing a normal Zoom meeting from your house. The difference is whatever you have in the classroom is going to be displayed through the Zoom meeting. So you can tell I've got our screen of participants in our Zoom meeting over there, and of course you ever needed to drag that and get that out of the way of what you're trying to present, then you could certainly just drag it and go. I'm dragging it on my laptop, but I am actually sharing the Zoom session from the black box. So because a lot of our technology in the classroom comes from the black box that's in each classroom, we've set up a station in front of each. So a big thank you to our PBA, Media Services, and CIS teams. They have done a terrific job. Before, if you taught from the black box, you kind of had to turn it all on and then turn the projector on and then look at the projector screen to see what was there. So this monitor is going to be a really nice addition for everybody. The majority of classrooms are going to actually have a monitor that has a webcam in it. So in this classroom, I need to use my laptop. That's what we have with the faculty that are using this particular classroom right now. But we wanted to plan for several of our adjuncts or even some full-time faculty who don't have laptops that will need to be able to teach remotely. So for that, they're going to need the monitor with the webcam. So you could tell over there I was standing, talking, maybe even moving a little bit, right? The farther you scoot back that camera, the more you'll be able to figure out how far you can walk. So that your camera will still pick you up. If you were teaching from over here, then you certainly could sit down and teach from here as well. So when we're in the Zoom meeting, we can certainly see it on the monitor that we have connected to the black box. As I was sharing, if something happens and you need to do something in the Zoom meeting, like move the screen over so that you can see additional text on the projector in the room so that your students can see. The nice thing about being able to do that, I have a remote keyboard that also has a mouse pad here. In your classroom, it might be different. You might have the keyboard and then you might have a separate mouse. So either you can certainly teach at the station next to the black box. I could have brought my laptop here with me, right? Maybe that's what you'd prefer to do, to kind of have all your controls and everything in one spot. But if you do plan to teach from a podium, because I know a lot of you indicated that you do like teaching standing, so you would prefer to use a podium or a half podium, then just take that remote keyboard with you. You'll still be able to control everything. I'm pointing to the monitor, but of course this is just a display of what's really going on the black box computer. So your black box will continue to function the same. The interesting thing is that you'll need to kind of come in class maybe a couple of minutes earlier, turn on the black box computer, sign yourself in, and you'll actually need to get in and get into your Zoom meeting, because we want to be Zooming on the black box computer and also Zooming on whatever computer it is that you have the webcam. So you can tell that we are still in our Zoom meeting. In some classrooms like this one, we actually have a camera inside the black box and we have a webcam in the black box. If I was to go to the kind of the gallery view, you would notice that we can, I keep doing it on the laptop, but I got to do it on the black box one, that's okay. So we can change our view up there. And so you can tell the camera that is picking up the students in this room is there as well. And so that's really nice because it will kind of help your students who are at home. They'll be able to see their classmates. Those are a little bit expensive, and so we aren't able to put a webcam in every black box. There are several classrooms where we're able to do that. So for us coming back this fall 2020, what we're going to do is actually, I think on the Friday, right before faculty begin teaching class again, we'll be in several of the different classrooms and several different of the sample types of black box setups that we have. You'll have some eLearning and Media Services team members in there, and so just on the hour, each hour from like 10 to I don't know when, 4, 3, something, whatever Dr. Lane tells us, that's what we'll do. We'll be there, you can walk in, you can actually turn things on, bring your laptop if you want, and try a particular session so that you will feel very comfortable teaching in that classroom when classes start back. So I think we're going to give some specific directions. Like I said, all the black boxes are not standard, all the classrooms are not standard, so it's going to be better for us to give you specific directions for the classroom that you're in. I think like I said, it's not going to be normal teaching in fall 2020 because we again may have students who may need to remote into your class. You will be able to find out who those are. I know we're working on putting a code in Genzabar so that you could go to your Genzabar class list and actually see your students that will be sitting out of your class, will be participating remotely in your class for COVID reasons. I think the expectation right now is that students continue to participate synchronously. So whenever it is that you are holding class with all the rest of your students, then your students who are remote are to be participating at that time. Faculty can choose to record sessions or not record sessions. We are working with the provost office to get some syllabus language, right, that you can put in your syllabus so that basically students agree and understand that they are going to be recorded every session. Of course, those recordings will be stored in your Zoom account. And so you can access them easily. As a faculty member, you can certainly take those recordings and put them in your Canvas class. So that will be easy for students to access afterwards if you would like to do that. It is helpful. I talk fast, and so I know folks tell me sometimes I got about half of what you said because I talk too fast. So it is helpful for students maybe for whom English isn't the first language, or just people that have a speak fast and have a Southern accent like me, and students might need to replay it again. For me, if the technology can help a student learn, I want to give them every tool to help them be academically successful. And I think this is probably a good one, especially if we have to Zoom the session anyway for some of our students who might be remote. So we will give you specific directions about the black box. One thing I think that probably was a little bit confusing to our faculty who taught for us late this summer was the sound. So in many of our classrooms, we do have speakers in the ceiling, and so that's the reason we definitely want to use the black box computer, because the sound is coming from this computer, and so I'll point to kind of again coming from this computer and this monitor. So if I'm showing a video, if I'm doing something like that, then I probably want to do it from this computer. That way all the students who are in the class, and then that's the reason why I'm Zooming as well, because the sound coming from this computer will come through the Zoom session itself, and then my students at home would be able to hear the sound as well there too. Because I'm using sound here, if I am going to use some type of laptop device, then I probably would mute my sound there, right? So I think it is just a little bit different, especially if you're going to work with two devices. That's why I think some people were working to get the monitor with the webcam in every classroom, and some people are just going to want to teach from the one device. That would be simpler, but certainly you can teach with your laptop. Some of you have specialty programs or files saved right on your laptop, so you can certainly teach from there as well. We will be available as an e-learning team and media services team to answer your questions. We want to make sure that you have all the information you need. We will be happy to meet with you individually, come in class and meet with you. Just send us an email. Our best is onlinehelp@pba.edu. Send us an email and let us know when you're going to be in your classroom and what classroom that is, and we'll do our best to meet you there and kind of help you walk through the technology. I would say do like a little dry run, right? Make sure you plug everything in and everything's working like you want. So let's take a look at the black box. As we said, not every black box in every classroom is exactly the same, but of course we have them fairly standardized. You're going to have a computer somewhere, so when you come in, you may want to take that keyboard and just kind of hit the space bar. The person in front of you may have left the computer on. If not, you can actually look and you'll see there's a power button and it's kind of lit up a little bit, so feel free to press that and turn it on. And then of course you probably have some information somewhere with display, and you want to make sure you turn that on. That'll turn the projector on. Hopefully the monitor will already be on. I know I happened to come in this classroom today and it was off. So you'll find a power button on your monitor somewhere. If that's not coming on, just try the power button. You may have to also adjust sound a little bit, right? It depends on who used the classroom before you, what YouTube video they played or resource that they played off their textbook website. So they may have had some sound differently. So you may want to turn the sound up in the classroom. Also, you may have to turn the sound up on the black box PC itself, which of course you can do by using the monitor as well. So, like I said, I would suggest that you come in, do a kind of a trial run and practice a little bit. If you have questions about the black box, we have a wonderful media services and CIS team, so feel free to send them an email or give them a call. And of course, they are 561-803-2027, and then you can indicate either 1 or 2 for classroom technology, and they'll put you straight through there. Their email is help_desk@pba.edu, and they are staffed quite regularly and should be able to help you with any challenges. So we are still in one of our PBA classrooms, and we so appreciate Major Pena and the work of the safety and security team. They have set up our classrooms as much as possible for that 6 foot physical distancing between students as they are in the classroom. So you can tell we've got a seat marked off here, but a student could sit here, seat marked off, student can sit, etc. So Major Pena has planned for every classroom that we have to have maximum capacity. He has shared that maximum capacity with the University Registrar's Office, so they're familiar with that. Of course, as he mentioned earlier, masks are going to be on for all of our students anyway, but we know the more, mask on, physical distance, wash your hands, as many of those things as we can do and encourage our students to do, the safer we'll be able to keep them. So because we have kind of everything set, Major Pena has been nice enough to kind of make a template seating chart. I think he talked with you about that, but he'll give us kind of a template seating chart. It's going to be very helpful to have students even pass it around the first night, right? Have students write their name in the box, or you can do it if you want to. What we want to do though with that seating chart is we want to get that to Health Alert at pba.edu, and I think there's no underscore in that, so just health alert at pba.edu. We want to get that to them as quickly as possible after the first night of class. That will help us. We don't know when a student is going to become sick, and so if it's this student here and we need to know who it was that was sitting around the student, that seating chart is going to be critical for contact tracing, so that we can continue to monitor all of those students and keep them safe. If there was someone that was 20 feet away, then that's a different story than someone that was within 6 feet of the student. So seating charts are going to be really important. Dr. Lane or Dr. Richards will communicate more with you about the timeliness of being able to submit those. We want to make sure also that our students do that health alert on their phone. So I know that students were emailed about that, and that they need to kind of download that, and then it'll come up on their mobile phone every day, and so they'll be able to do the daily wellness check every day. I think Student Services also will share that information. But we know that you are really our front line to students, and you're the expert, and so what you say they're going to do. So for your health and safety and their health and safety, if you can remind them to do that daily wellness check every single day. Again, if they're not feeling good, they should do the wellness check, and they're probably going to get an email within just a little bit that says, you are not feeling good, don't come to class, right? They've got all those symptoms. The symptoms do change, and the health alert does change, so encourage them to read that. But it's important that they do that. Health alert, like I said, will send the student an email if they're not feeling well and say, you should not come to class, let's see how you feel tomorrow. Whatever it is, we have a specific person on staff, a registered nurse that works with Kate Magro and her team that is monitoring all of those health alerts. And so we don't have to monitor, we don't have to tell students whether or not they're coming to class. They either are going to take that health alert email, send it to you as the faculty member and say, I have been advised by Health Alert not to come to class. I'll be participating remotely, synchronously today. If they don't have that, then they should be with you in our beautiful PBA classrooms, looking at you and sharing in the wonderful classroom experience that you have for them. So that's just a little bit about seating in the classroom. I think, some teachers do things differently. Sometimes you have small group work. So if it's possible to leave the tables and the chairs or desk and chairs as they are in the classroom, that would be the best. And have students get up, right? It's good to get up and stretch a little bit. Have them get up and go do small group work, kind of in the corners of the room or something. That will really help rather than totally moving the desk and the tables around. So I think what we're asking is when you come in the classroom, however you see the classroom set up, if it's possible at all, to leave the classroom like that and have your class instruction, that would be fabulous. If not, when you leave the room, if you need to put the tables in a square or whatever you need to do, that is fine. If you could just return it to its normal seating as it was when you came in, would be really helpful for us. Again, we have, from a safety and security standpoint, kind of laid out the optimal seating for the classroom to keep everybody safe. I did also want to mention we've had faculty ask us about, could we open the windows, could we open, right, because we understand that airflow really helps, right? So you can open the doors, and so we actually have a door in this classroom. So in this classroom, we actually do have a door. It's an interior door, so I know all my air conditioning will stay in here. Some of the classrooms have an exterior door. If we open that for additional airflow, we would get all the outside air, which probably would be great fresh air, but it probably would be a waste of our good air conditioning. So outside doors, we probably don't want to open. Interior doors, you certainly could open. I'm going to close that one right now for sound. But it's got a little leg down at the bottom, and so you can prop that open. I know the only fun thing would be you would have your door open, the person teaching across the hall would have their door open, etc. So, I'll leave that up to you as faculty members. If you'd like to prop your door open and get a little bit more airflow, you're welcome to do that. Maybe coordinate with your neighbors in the hall to see who's going to open their door. And we'll just leave that for you guys to work out. But that is just another thing that you could do to help promote flow of air. So many of you might have students do work in small groups, right? You've lectured, you've shared information with them, and so sometimes it's good to stop, break them up into small groups, let them think about what it is that you have said, reflect, do a case study, whatever that particular thing might be. We know that students are more likely to talk when we kind of get them in a small group. So we've mentioned kind of doing something in the classroom, having students get up and go to the corners of the room or something like that. If you really need to turn the tables and chairs around, then you could do that too. I wanted to also mention doing things through Zoom. So if it was me and I was in the classroom for this particular fall, I think I would do breakout rooms in Zoom. So many of the students are going to bring their laptops or have a cell phone, right? They can do Zoom from the cell phone, put the headphones in. That's how they are, I feel like 80% of the day anyway. But that's another story. So have them put their headphones in, have them do the breakout room in Zoom on their mobile device, on their laptop, and then you could have a student that is 30 feet away from each other, but they could still be in the same small group session. As we're thinking about contact tracing and where students have been and who did you get within 6 feet of, we know when they were in the classroom, we know they have their mask on, and so that should be good, but just for contact tracing purposes, they could do the Zoom breakout room. Like I said, then that also includes your remote learners as well. So if you've got students who are participating synchronously but they're remote, they have to be in a group with somebody too. And so the fact that somebody could use Zoom, use the breakout room, that's a great way to, again, do that small group. You can control that. You can bring the students back after just a few minutes. As a faculty member, you can pop into each of the breakout rooms in Zoom so you can hear and watch and kind of see what's going on in each of the small groups, and that's a great way to continue that student engagement in small groups, but use technology to do it, keeping everybody safe.